Hi guys, it's Jo, the Millennial knitter. I'm talking to you today from London. I'm a knitter who started knitting in October of last year, and this is my second podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about some of my finished objects, very exciting, a couple of works in progress, whips that I've got on the needles, some inevitable yarn acquisitions, and a bit more of knitting life over the last month or so since my last episode. So I hope you will join me and enjoy. So finished objects. I am super excited to say that this is one of my finished objects. So this is the Daybreak T-shirt. I'll insert some longer photos so you can see it really well. It's a pattern, let me consult my knitting journal. That's one of the other things I've been doing this month, is actually trying to write things in my knitting journal. So hopefully you can see that on the camera. It's a knitted t-shirt. It's the Daybreak Tee by Destiny Maya. I made it, I started in the middle of February and I think I finished it in the first week of March, so it took me 3 or 4 weeks to do. I made it with a combination of bamboo yarn, bamboo and cotton yarn from Stylecraft, and Drops Paris cotton. So the Drops Paris is the lighter, kind of brighter peachy colour, and the bamboo is the more dusty pink. I wanted something for the summer, I wanted something I could do quite quickly, and I thought, well, I'll try my hand at lace as well, which I'm really glad I did. I had a few interesting things happen with this pattern. It was my first time knitting with something that wasn't wool, and I have to say for the first few knitting sessions my hands really struggled with the bamboo. It's not stretchy like wool, so it was definitely a bit rougher on my hands than I had been used to. So bear that in mind if you're doing it. It was also my smallest needles for a full garment size projects. I've started, like a lot of people did, on really chunky yarn and big needles, so doing something that was on 4mm circulars felt like it was taking literally forever. But I powered through. I made a couple of modifications to the pattern in that I added this stripe in that increased in size. That helped break it up for me a little bit as well and keep it interesting, because I could think to myself, oh well, I'll just go to the next stripe. That kind of kept me going. I really like the construction of these little cap sleeves. It's really simple. I'm definitely going to do that on future projects. And I also added in this mixed yarn with the kind of thicker Drops cotton, because I was a bit worried about the structure of just doing it in bamboo. I was wondering whether that would hold up with the lace and things. In terms of mistakes that I've made, not mistakes with the pattern, there is definitely a mistake here. This line is supposed to go straight, and for some reason it's gone on a wonk, but I don't mind it too much. And in terms of wearability, I have worn this loads. I am so pleased with it. I'm so pleased with the sizing. It was right. I'm trying to think which size I made. I'll have to have a think. I think I knit a size large, so I'd have enough drape. Plenty of space. It's really comfy. The length has worked out perfectly for me. Again, I'll insert some more photos, but it hits just where I'd want it to hit. It washes really well. I've washed it a couple of times. I've just hand washed at the moment rather than done anything more serious. And I really enjoyed knitting the lace. So I've now got in my mind that I want to do another lace project, maybe a jumper or something with some lace in it. This was definitely beginner friendly lace, because I think there was only really one instruction, and then you were supposed to do it at a different angle on the other side, which I obviously didn't really do that successfully. But it's made me think, well, I definitely could do a proper lace project. And I also found that this was just about enough lace that it wasn't too daunting, because you knit from bottom up. Yeah, that's right, from the bottom up. So you've already conquered most of the t-shirt before you get to the lace panel. The only tips I'd have is think about the depth of your lace panel. You obviously wouldn't want it too deep, otherwise it might not be outside appropriate. And I think if I were to make it again, I might make the sleeves slightly wider, longer. They're made just by casting on stitches at the bottom before you connect, and I think I could have maybe just made them a couple of stitches longer and I would have liked them even more. But yeah, altogether a really, really good project that I'm super pleased with. For my next work in progress, I'm afraid all I've got to show you here are the empty needles. My second finished project, I should say, not work in progress. My second finished project was my first ever pair of socks, the One Sock pattern by Kate Atherton. I'll insert a link to the pattern as well. I made a pair of purple and orange hiking socks for my mum. It was a really interesting process. The first sock took me, I'll probably say in my little journal, won't it? So I cast them on the 3rd of February, and they took me until the 30th of March to finish them. So they took me 2 months to make the socks. I made them with Coop Knits Sock Share DK, which was lovely to knit with, really, really nice. Combination of a kind of purpley brown and a bright orange with a stripe. I'll obviously put some photos in. I knit them on these brilliant 2.5mm circulars, tiny little circulars. I couldn't really get on with doing more than one set of needles, DPNs or something, so I went for these guys, loved it. The first sock took me at least 3 weeks, I would say, because I was just trying to get the hang of knitting such tiny little stitches and learning some of the techniques for the first time. The pattern construction is ribbed at the top, and then it has a heel flap construction with, is it German short rows? Maybe it's German, you have to buy the pattern and find out. I think it's German short rows to shape the heel. Turning the heel was a wild ride the first time I did it. I'd never done that before, and it seems like witchcraft. And then the rest of the construction, so you've got your ribbed main bit of body for the leg, turn the heel, build the toe basically, which is pretty straightforward, and then decrease in for the toe. All of that was fine. The heel was the really tricky bit, and as I say, the first sock took me ages. I think I was holding my yarn really, really tight because I was worried about these little needles, so I think my tension might have been not brilliant on that first one, and I had to keep taking breaks because it was hurting my hands. And then eventually, finally, plucked up the courage to start the second sock, aiming for Mother's Day, aiming to get them finished by Mother's Day. Didn't quite get there, but got pretty close. And started the second sock. That one flew off my needles, basically. That took about a week and I'd got to the heel, and then I had to do the heel 4 times. I don't know what went wrong, but I had to do the heel, unpick the heel, do the heel, unpick the heel, do the heel, unpick the heel 4 times, and I was livid. And it was because I think I'd lost track of, on the heel flap, how many stitches I was doing. So each time I would do the turn, I'd end up on a wonk. If you're a sock knitter, you'll probably know what I mean, but basically my decreases wouldn't be centered, they'd be off to one side or the other side. So 4 times, I think, had I not already promised them to Mum and had she not seen the first sock, I would have thrown them in the bin at that stage. I am not a very patient person. I think they would have gone the way of the bin, but fortunately I'd promised them, so I had to finish them. I did eventually finish them. I have gifted them, which is why they aren't with me. Mum says she loves them, she better. I don't see her wearing them soon, that'll be real trouble. But I've definitely got the sock bug. I haven't quite got back to sock knitting yet, but I did love it, and it was super enjoyable to knit, apart from turning the heels, which was a nightmare. So I will be doing more socks for sure. And then my third finished project, again, I haven't got it with me because I've been doing a bit of gifting, but I made a fairly quick pair of lovely little hand warmers with some of my drops Andes that I had left over. A friend of mine was moving on from her job in my team to a job in another team, and she had mentioned, I'd seen before when we were at a Christmas party, that she had this lovely pair of hand warmers, grey ones, but they had a few holes in because she'd worn them to death, and she said, oh, could you, would you be able to make me a pair of pay, blah, blah, blah. So I've been waiting for the opportunity to make these for her, and I just did my own little pattern. What did I do? I think did I write it down? Yeah, so just cast on 9mm needles, 20 stitches, a few garter rounds at the top to make it nice and squishy, knit to the length I wanted. I knit them back and forth on circular needles, so I knit flat, sewed it up, left a hole for the thumb. Job's a good one. Again, I'll pop a little photo of those in there, but I was really pleased with them and they came out really nicely, and this yarn is gorgeous, so I'll definitely make more things with this, and it was the perfect project to use up. I think it probably used up about half a skein to do both, so not too bad, pretty economical, and looks really lovely, so I was really chuffed with that. And I think that's my last finished objects. I have to say this was a real labour of love, so this took a while, and the socks really took a while. So those are my main finished objects this month, just the 3 of them. So my works in progress. I had been really hoping that one of these works in progress would be a finished object by the time that I came to do this podcast. However, I need just one more skein. This started up being a scrap project, so a project using up skeins, and then has ended up requiring more skeins, which I think is the trap. But I'm so close to having finished this cardigan. This is the Paint Box Yarns chunky, what's it called? Chromatic shawl collar cardigan. The body's done. The sleeves are halfway. And I ran out of the ivory We Are Knitters Petit wool. And I thought about doing the rest of the sleeves in neon, but I know I'll regret it, so I'm just going to be patient until my order comes. I hadn't really been planning to order from We Are Knitters because of all the controversy. However, I really want to finish this cardigan. I don't want to waste what I've done, so I have made an order. I know people might have mixed feelings about that. But yeah, I am loving this cardigan. I would really like to get it finished soon so that I can wear it before it's 90 degrees outside. It's a British weather here, so I'm sure I'll be fine. I can just feel that it's going to be really wearable. I've got the beige, kind of ivory beige, the neon yellow in there, which I'm loving, which everybody else that I show this to seems to be loving. How it'll be finished is I'll put the sleeves on, and then it's designed to have this kind of thick shawl collar going around the middle. It knits up pretty fast because it's fairly chunky yarn. So I'm hoping that that won't take too long, and then I'm hoping that this is really going to be a forever piece because I think it will be super warm. So yeah, this guy I'm really excited to get off the needles. Just need the yarn. I obviously added the neon stripes in, gave myself a total labour of love weaving in a million ends because I've just put these kind of random stripes in, but I'm super excited about this. And I don't think it's going to take me long to finish it once I have got the rest of the yarn. So that's one of my main works in progress, which is on pause. I think hopefully the yarn might even come today, so you might see that finished soon. And whilst I was waiting for that, I got a bit overexcited and I came across the most gorgeous pattern for something called the Daphne top. I don't know if any of you guys are Bridgerton fans, but it's apparently inspired by Bridgerton, which I can totally see. And I had been looking for something to do with, I had a few skeins of, inevitably I've had to buy more skeins because that's how it goes, but I had picked up on sale a few skeins of the Sublime baby cashmere merino silk. This in this kind of quite vivid aqua blue, not usually my colour, but the yarn's so lovely I thought I'd make an exception. And I wanted a summer top, so I wanted something, I knew I wanted puff sleeves, I knew I wanted some kind of detail at the front, and the Daphne is gorgeous. It has puff sleeves, it has kind of bust shaping and what I now know is I-cord edging, but basically what looks like piping kind of around the bust. You can obviously adjust the length and things, and I thought, yeah, that is the perfect thing for this gorgeous yarn. And I also initially had a couple of mixed colours of blue, and I was going to do a fade or an ombre or something, and then as I've been knitting it I decided actually I love this too much to risk doing something weird with the colours that I'm not sure on, and I put too much work into it, so I bought some more skeins so that I could finish it off in the same colourway, which may not have been the most economical choice, but that's what I've done. So the Daphne, it starts with German short row shaping at the top, so that's the piece for the bust there that you can see. The yellow is the kind of front marker. I have mixed a couple of sizes together just to make sure that I got the bust measurement right. It has really lovely ribbing panel at the back, so I'm hoping that it's going to be really comfortable. You can see that in there. So there's ribbed panel at the back, and then part of what drew me to it was bust shaping, brilliant, and then this gorgeous, what I would have described as piping that runs under the bust, over the bust, and I think at the arms as well. And that is done in something called I-cord. Proper knitters will probably know all about I-cord, but I did not. So I thought, well, I will challenge myself with a couple of new techniques in this. German short row shaping, really fun, not difficult. Well, I hope that doesn't sound too arrogant, but I had been worried about it, but actually to shape the bust I didn't find difficult at all. Really straightforward, good instructions, really good video linked in the pattern for the top. And the I-cord, not difficult either. Slow, it took a while, but because I'm an impatient person, having different techniques kind of each way through the top has been amazing. So I was desperate to get to the end of the German short row shaping, so that meant I flew through the top of the bust just to see what it would look like. And then when I got to the I-cord, I couldn't put it down because I just wanted to finish it, to actually go all the way around, so that meant I flew through it as well. And I-cord, how would I describe what I-cord is? So I-cord edging is a way that you can use for piping. I'd really recommend listening to the Make Good podcast episode on I-cord. They've got a whole podcast episode, my favourite podcast, I'm super obsessed with them. And they've got a whole episode on I-cord edging, so they'll explain it much better than I can. But basically you pick up one of your stitches, add a few others, and it turns into this little rope that you kind of knit in, and it looks brilliant. And that's what it looks like from the inside. So it's quite neat from the inside, neat-ish for me. And on the outside you get this lovely kind of raised textured piping. I decided to do it in a different colour, partly because I had a spare skein just in this deeper blue, and I thought, well, that would be perfect for the I-cord, and partly because I wanted a bit of a contrast. So Daphne is an amazing pattern, really love it. I'm definitely going to try and do some more Friday knit patterns. This is totally flying off my needles. I'm hoping that I'll be finished it in the next week or so. I think I haven't got that much more to do on the length. Then you've got the option of either adding straps or puff sleeves. I'm definitely going to do the puff sleeves, and I can't wait to wear it. I'm thinking that it'll be a really nice top for a warm-ish spring summer day in the UK. So not boiling, it might be too hot for a boiling day, but a warmish summer day. And yeah, I'm loving it. The yarn is an absolute delight to knit with. I would really recommend it. In terms of needle size, what am I knitting with? So I'm doing it on 4mm, which I think, because I'd just done the socks, doesn't seem so bad. I think if I'd gone straight from chunky to this, it might have felt very slow, but it's not feeling slow for me at all. I'm doing a size large. As I said, I think I've expanded the bust measurement a little bit just to make sure that that fits properly. But I am absolutely loving it. I have to say, probably my favourite pattern that I've done to date. So that's my other work in progress. Have I got any other whips? No, I think it's just these two at the moment, but I am soon to have some more whips. So I'll talk about yarn acquisitions and what I'm going to do with those acquisitions in my next bit. So yarn acquisitions. If you watched my previous vlog podcast, can't remember which one it was in, you'll have seen that I went to somewhere on the coast and found an amazing yarn shop. I'll pop their details in the bio. And when I was there, I bought this gorgeous Cumulus yarn. It's a, what is it, 74% baby Surrey alpaca and 26% mulberry silk. It's a lace weight, I think. Very fine, very fluffy. And I bought it because I am super keen to make the Penrose Knits souffle tea. It's another one that I've been eyeing up on Instagram, and it's usually knit with mohair, but I have to be quite careful with textures, and I just don't think I could do mohair. I think it would itch me to death, and I think I would hate it. So this, on the other hand, feels glorious. I can't imagine this being itchy at all, and I'm really hoping it'll make a good sub for the mohair. I persuaded myself to get a neutral colour, which is not always my favourite thing, but I thought the souffle is so detailed anyway that this might be perfect. So the souffle, if you haven't seen it, has a sheer panel at the top, where I think it's knit with single strand of the mohair or the lace weight fluff, a ruffle, and then the rest of it is knit double, so you get a thicker, kind of less sheer panel where you need it. And I think it comes with puff sleeves as well. I know that she's releasing, Penrose Knits is releasing a long sleeved kind of chunky jumper version as well, which doesn't appeal to me quite as much. I like the idea of the sheer panel at the top. I think that'll be super wearable. So I'm excited about this. I hope I've got enough. If not, I'll have to order some more. But that's one of my acquisitions that has a solid plan. So that is a solid plan for these guys. I know exactly what I'm doing with that. Then I have also acquired this lovely stuff. I fell into a very beautiful yarn shop and acquired some Adraifil Italian yarn. It's a Lana naturale Inca, which is 50% alpaca, 50% wool. It doesn't feel as soft because I've just been touching that other one, but it is extremely soft actually. It's this gorgeous combo of white, grey and beige twisted together, and I am deciding whether to be generous or not. And the generous or not bit is I could knit this into a jumper for my mum, and I think she would love it. But it is very beautiful and it was quite expensive. I bought a sweater quantities worth, so I think have I got 10? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I've got 10, plenty for a really nice jumper. It could either be mum's Christmas present or it could be my present to me. We shall have to see. I don't yet have a pattern in mind for it, but I'm thinking a fairly plain sweater because it's so lovely. I don't think it needs a lot doing with it. I think because it's got the twist colour in it, if I make it, I would just wear it forever, I think. I'm a bit tempted to make a cardigan as well because I'm a bit of a cardigan person, but we shall see. That lovely acquisition, and look how nicely presented it is. You get the whole box and everything. It's very lovely. I'm very pleased with that. I bought a few more balls of the Sublime. I had to order these from an unusual shop just to find them because they'd actually been discontinued, but I got enough to finish my top, so I'm really pleased with that. Even though I was supposed to not be buying any more yarn, I did. And the last acquisition I got is it was my birthday, yay! So my partner very kindly treated me to a kit from We Are Knitters. He got me the art sweater kit with Petit wool in marshmallow. I was really impressed. I couldn't believe he'd got both a colour and a style that I might actually like. I love the colours of this. This is gorgeous. I think it's marshmallow. Yeah, marshmallow. And I'm just having a bit of a debate with myself about whether to knit the pattern he bought me or to knit something I like more and might wear more. And I know that that's probably not right, but equally, I don't think he'd know, because is he going to tell what one jumper is from another jumper? Who can say? And would it be better to knit something that I really love rather than knit something just because that's the pattern he got me and then not really love it? So we're debating that. And we're debating jumper versus cardigan. I know I'm literally making a chunky cardigan right now, but I do think cardigans are more wearable, so I'm a bit torn. I think the art sweater is lovely. It's I don't have an issue with it. I just think it's a bit plain for what I'd really like. I'm not sure about the shape of it, but I've been stalking some other patterns and I've seen I'd pronounce it a Oster, but I may have that wrong. I'll put the link in. But there's a sweater that has a Andalusian stitch pattern through it, which almost looks like a kind of checkerboard pattern with texture that I think looks gorgeous. And I've seen a few people knit it in the Petit wool and literally in this wool, and it looks amazing. So I'm a bit tempted by that. So that might be what slides onto my needles. My other reason for wanting to knit something other than the art sweater is I prefer, if I can, to knit in the round. I've really got into the habit of knitting in the round on circular needles, and the art sweater is designed to be knit flat. And I know I could go back and forth, but I'd rather not spend all that time purling if I can just knit in the round. So that's where I'm at with that. Have I got any other yarn? I think, is that all? No, I've got other yarn in the post. So I might have to do a little update once I've got the rest of my acquisitions. But basically, I had to buy one more ball of the cream to finish off my chunky cardigan. And some very good friends of mine bought me a voucher. So I added a little bit more to that, and what I've added is hopefully a cotton and merino blend that I can use to make, I really want to make one of those French jumpers, so kind of cream and navy stripe, ideally with a collar. I'd really like a kind of chunky collared sweater. I think I just keep seeing them everywhere and I want to knit one with cream and navy stripes, and I've got the yarn for that coming, so when that comes I'll show that in one of my next videos. And I think those are my main projects at the moment. I've got a long train journey today actually, so I'm going to be taking the Daphne top with me. Hopefully I'll get that finished, maybe even get it finished on the, no, I won't get it finished on the train. I might get the main body finished on the train. I'm going to take a couple of balls of my marshmallow with me and kind of get that started. And if I happen to trip and fall into a knitting shop, maybe I'll get some more sock yarn, start another little pair of socks. But I'd love to know what's on your needles, what are you working on? I've got some more summer yarn that I really need to use up that I've shown you in a previous podcast, but I've got some linen that I'd really like to make a vest probably with. I'm really getting a lot of wear out of this t-shirt, so I think summer knits are definitely something that I would wear, so I'm really pleased about that, and I'd like to make some more. But I've only got these 2 pairs of hands and I have to be careful not to go too wild. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you're working on, what you'd like to hear more about in my vlog, and I hope you're keeping really well, and thank you for joining me today. You can catch me over on Instagram, find out more about what I'm working on over there. I'm the .millennial knitter over on Instagram, and hopefully you'll see me back here in a week or so.